Hello everyone and welcome to FiST Chat, the vodcast that features discussions on the topics of film, science and technology. My name is Ben Warner and I'm joined once again by my good friend and eminent space traveller, Steve Kern. How you doing there, Steve?
Hi there, Ben. How are you going? I'm well. I'm very excited about the opportunity perhaps to go into space on a little bit of a holiday.
Oh, absolutely. Maybe Mars, you think, or you just happy with the circuit of the moon or something?
I'll be happy probably with the moon these days, but maybe, and we'll talk about this a bit later, Mars could be the final resting place for some of us.
Yes, maybe. So don't forget, our vodcast is available at www.fisttchat.com, so you can get our MP3s either via RSS or iTunes. You can also watch all of our videos and past episodes on YouTube. And also interact with us via Facebook and Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. So moving right along, we'll as we're sort of suggesting there, it's all about commercial space travel. That's our discussion for today. So we're going to talk about some of the companies that are involved in that at the moment, and there's probably more than what you'd expect, because it's apart from we'll start with the obvious one, the old Richard Branson Virgin Galactic thing that I think everyone might have heard about that at one point or another.
Virgin Galactic's fantastic, Ben. I mean, that's really for the armchair tourist. But one thing that's really important about space travel that I don't think people realise, it's not just like catching a plane somewhere. You actually have to go through a little bit of training. So even Virgin Galactic, which is your entry-level trip into outer space, for a mere $200,000, and they have already had 400 people pay the $20,000 deposit. Can you believe that, Ben? They have to be trained, so they have to go up in the zero-G planes and do the parabolic like flights to get accustomed to zero-G. They have to undergo a fair bit of training. So it's a little bit more than just an air flight, but wow, a few minutes up there in space with Richard Branson, what could be better?
No, absolutely. I mean, did you see the picture of the plane that he's got set up there? It looks straight out of those sci-fi movies. It looks quite real, but the big difference, of course, is that Virgin branding on the tail, which is something I think a lot of those sci-fi guys didn't necessarily predict in the future. They would all be corporate.
Well, who would have thought? I mean, it's very interesting. We've obviously NASA, and the space race of the 60s was an absolutely marvellous achievement for all of humanity. The fact that NASA put men on the moon is absolutely, it changed our world. And the shuttle, which is now retired, sadly, was another fantastic invention, probably a little bit too far ahead of its time. But with the cutbacks now, the US government is trying to get privatising or privateers involved in space exploration, and Virgin Galactic's probably one of those adjuncts now, and especially, must be a lot of people out there with 200K.
Absolutely, they want to travel in space. I mean, you mentioned too that just looking at, because the space shuttle, it was its last launch. Was it just in the past week that they did that? So yeah, it's an end of an era there. Because that was the big way for at least for the Americans, because they pioneered all of that. But I guess it was getting to a stage where they probably needed to look at some new technologies as well, considering the shuttle was developed a long time ago now.
Well, the shuttle was probably one of the most complicated machines ever built. And, fortunately, a lot of things have changed in the 40 years since they designed it. So now you can see that while once upon a time we thought the shuttle was going to be going up and down in and out of space on the back of a 747, didn't turn to be the case. And you look at something like Virgin Galactic's plane or ship, carrier, well, I don't know what they call it, I can't remember. But that's designed to go up and down frequently into space, and quite economically too.
Well, just on that last point about the economics of it, and this might be the last point on Virgin Galactic before we move on to a couple of the others, but I noticed that they said on their website that one of the things that they were looking at was not launching the spaceship from the ground, and that would save a lot of money and that's why they've, if you have a look on their website, they've got sort of a two-stage process. The spaceship's connected to another plane first, and the plane takes off like a normal plane, and then the spaceship part launches from there. So,
would you call it a mothership, perhaps?
Oh, possibly. Who knows how long it'll be before it starts, spinning to the Danube waltz or something like that. So, but let's have a look at a couple of the others. Bigelow Aerospace. Who are actually into manufacturing what I thought was quite interesting, inflatable space stations, which is quite interesting. And their latest project, the BA330, the amount of usable space in it is 330 cubic meters, and it can take 6 crew members.
Well, Ben, that's probably about the size of your apartment, believe it or not. And the biggest problem with space travel and living in space, if you look at the International Space Station, for example, is that it's, you've got to build it, and it's very heavy to get the pieces up there. So what they've effectively done is create a tent with a whole lot of poles and then a fabric skin that when you pressurise some air oxygen in there for the inhabitants of the space station to breathe and exist in, it inflates. It's very lightweight. All you need to do is get the gas up there and the lightweight aluminium tent poles. And apologies to Bigelow because I don't want to oversimplify it.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much how it works. And away you go. Isn't it a brilliant idea?
Well, it's fantastic. And you can expand it based on how many people are going to be in there or something like that. Could you extend it even further, that later if they develop this further that, you can expand it to accommodate more and more people, I guess up to a certain limit?
Absolutely. I mean, that's effectively what they've done with the International Space Station. They've built that in modules over, 15 years. Fantastic.
Because that's probably an important part about being in space, is that you're not confined by gravity or, sort of the convulsions of the planet kind of thing. You might get, maybe there's, space wind or solar flares or something that you need to worry about, or...
Well, no, actually, if you're inside the Earth's gravitational pull, low orbit, then you're actually relatively safe. You're still protected by the planet from cosmic rays and all the nasties out there, and you're in a very constant orbit. I mean, your big problem is probably space junk. And, I guess the more people that go into space, I can see maybe a big movie coming out that we might be talking about on FiST Chat in 10 years' time about the space tourists that go up there. And they hit some space junk in their rocket ship, and then it's just like, Airport 75 all over again as they try to bring it down.
Space Station 75. Well, we'll look out for that when we're, 100 years old or something like that.
I reckon they'll be making that sooner, Ben. As Virgin Galactic get the first lot of... passengers back down safely.
Absolutely. Okay, another one. We've got SpaceX, which is more geared towards low-cost manufacturing of spacecraft and rockets, from what I understand. That's quite interesting as well. Talking a lot about keeping all their costs. To me, that out of all the ones that were there, that one seemed more like this is a business. Like we know how we're saving money, and it felt like I was reading a business plan when I was reading their vision and business sort of statement there.
Well, yes, they're very serious about it, and space transport's a very serious business. As I was saying, NASA has had its budgets reduced. The US government has encouraged privateers in space. Without the space shuttle, the US don't actually have any way of getting into orbit except the Russian Soyuz rockets till 2016, when the Orion is slated to come online. So this is a great opportunity now for a company like SpaceX to start building. I think is their Falcon rocket that they use.
Yeah, that's right.
Start building those, and that's how Bigelow's going to get its space station hotels up into orbit.
Yeah, should I be cynical? I'm seeing a business cartel already forming.
Well, it's no different to any other business cartel on Earth. This will just be in space. But I mean, why wouldn't you? If FiST Chat has plans for a satellite, we could launch it with SpaceX.
Oh, I'd love to do an episode from the space station at some point. That'd be that'd be quite interesting.
Well, yes, Ben. In 20 years, it's quite probable that you and I could do a FiST Chat from a space station or a space hotel. If they do find minerals on the moon that are easily mined, or if there's some sort of valuable commodity out there in space nearby, you can be sure that people will be out there in rockets mining it. And the more people that go into space, the wider spread it becomes, the costs will drop. So it will become comfortable to get into space, a lot easier. And if there are miners out there in space, and if there's a community out in space, all of that makes it easier, especially if there's some of those Bigelow space hotels floating around. The only thing you have to remember is that with space travel, even into a low Earth orbit, you still need a lot of training, and that's probably where your space adventures come in.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So we've got the only company to send private citizens into space, the good old space adventures. I guess you could almost call it a competitor to Virgin Galactic in the sense that they're sort of trying to do a similar thing in getting private citizens up there. And it looks like, they're into the suborbital flights and private space exploration. I saw on their vision statement, the idea of doing a lap around the moon, maybe going further, all for the private citizen.
Well, let's say the very wealthy private citizen. No, there's no question with space adventure. What you're getting there is, if you've got the money, you get trained alongside astronauts. Okay, Space travel is very physically demanding. You also have to be able to contribute if you actually on a flight or a mission. And that's one way I think that people who probably have some decent skills and a hell of a lot of money behind them can fund their own career as an astronaut.
I guess that's one aspect to it that I guess people wouldn't necessarily have thought about, is whether they can streamline that process somehow, because you would think that obviously it has to be done. I mean, it would be no different than, I guess it's a much more expanded version of, say, now, where you get onto a flight and they give you the safety demonstration. But obviously there's a lot more training involved this time. But it'd be interesting to see if they can streamline it to a point where, because the thing is, people have to want to go to the effort of doing all of that as well. They'd have to really love it, I guess, if they're going to do it. Otherwise, they're not going to be bothered.
Well, I mean, let's face it, I reckon I'd definitely have a crack. I wouldn't be worried about a bit of altitude sickness or, vomiting because we were going a little bit too high too quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, and the flip side of the space tourism is that some of the greatest exploration may come through space tourism. To get to Mars, we've been able to get people to Mars now for the last 20 years. What we know is that we can't get them back.
Yeah.
There has been some talk that some of the first people to go to Mars may well be pensioners, and they will have no intention of coming back. But what a way to go. What a holiday, what a tour. Can you imagine flying all the way to Mars and landing there and then, actually seeing the Martian sunset in your glass-domed, spacecraft, as your oxygen slowly runs out, as day becomes night, you become eternal night, waiting for some people to come and find you.
Well, it's a very poetic way to finish this topic up. Thanks again, Steve. We're out of time, but lots of things to think about there. I'm all touched about going to Mars now after those words.
Well, maybe that's where you and I can do our very last FiST Chat episode from in about 40 or 50 years.
Absolutely. So don't forget, everyone, our vodcast is available at www.fistchat.com. So thanks again for listening. We'll be back again next week. So until then, have a good week.